Hey guys, it's Lazy and I'm here to bring you my Lick Starter guide for 3.29 for the Cold Dot Elementalist. Now, I played this build in 3.27 and I was able to get my 4 Void Stone and do all content that I want. I finished everything on day 2. It is a very easy build to play and everything can be done on a really low budget. This build has great recovery, good defense, and very smooth progressions from the campaign until the end game. Now, if we're talking beyond Full Void Stone, there's limited options to scale. However, in the endgame, you can just stack Golem with Primordial Bond, and just like any other Elementalist build, it will carry you to do everything that the game has to offer without much issues. Now, in the upcoming 3.29 patch, I don't think the build fundamentally is going to change a lot. They talk about having a new cold Keystone and hopefully they can get to some cold dot skill because I didn't see any change to Wintertide Brand. They buff cold snap but it's for the hit portion which can crit, so overall I don't think there's going to be too much change. Now if you play this build in 3.28, there was the Mirage League and there was Imbue Gem, which effectively give you more like 20% more damage. Now this is gone in 3.29 because Mirage is not really going core, so we don't have that coin that give you the Imbue Gem anymore. However, they are adding a new Empower spell skill gems called Pack of War, which is going to empower your 3 non-ailment damage over time spell, which you can use it on Wintertide Brand, and it's effectively going to give you 40% more damage with a debuff for another 25% increased damage over time on the boss, which means that you will have massively improved your single target damage in the endgame. So with all those changes, I think overall this build get buffed in the endgame because single target damage is usually the build weakness, and we kind of fix that with the Pack of War, which is also can be pretty nice for mapping as well. For 3.29, the written guide on Mobalytics and the PoE, which the link I'll put here is always will be up to date. It will be updated already by the time this video is up. I have all the variants of the build, starting from the campaign. It will take you all the way into the endgame. But of course, this do not include everything, as things will change in the patch. There will be new items, new synergy that we can find out. But yeah, I also have a mini written format for the campaign progressions. It will be on both the website and the PoE, so pick whatever platform you prefer. As the patch come out, there will be new synergies, items, and gems, of course. When in doubt, this guide will always be the most up-to-date on the written guide, and just make sure you favorite the written guide and come back for any changes that I made to the build. For the Ascendancy, obviously I'm choosing Elementalist due to the fact that we do more damage, and it's better in trade in my opinions. And the campaign is really easy. Once you get Leech of the Primordial, you're gonna get 4 golems, and they're gonna carry you through the rest of the campaign, even with the nerf. And then we have Shaper of Storm as our second point, and this one help us don't need to run Skittable Aura for shock, and we have like a shockless shock. And then I go for the Shaper of Winter. This is a defensive note because it chill enemy better, and our skills are already chill, and it just help you survive a lot easier in the early game when you like don't have a lot of gear yet. And then we go for Mastermind of Discord. Now if you want more damage, you can also go for Heart of Destruction for conversion. Just be mindful that we don't benefit too much from the AoE and the conversion effects. It doesn't have 100% uptime, so 30% more is actually, we only get like about half of that. So for the early game, this is my preferred Ascendancy point. And later on in like a really late game setup where you are tanky and you go for a block setup, then you can just take Heart of Destruction, that way you have more damage when needed. If you have played this build before, campaign is really easy on this character, especially on League Start. You will probably be cruising through the campaign if you know what you're doing. And in here I have a very detailed written guide, which I'll walk you guys through a little bit. So it kind of divided into a few breakpoints. The first one is from level 1 to 12, prior to you getting your Wintertide Brand. We are going to level with Rolling Magma. By the way, in here I have the locations on where you are getting the gems, support gem and stuff like that. That way you don't get lost in the guide, because sometimes you just don't know where you are getting all these support gems and gems, right? Anyway, we are going to get Rolling Magma right out the gates, and then we are using Flame Wall, Frostling, Shield Charge, Holy Flame Totem as our skills prior to level 12. Holy Flame Totems and Flame Wall is really strong. Shooting the Holy Flame Totem shooting through the Flame Wall is going to do a lot of damage, and your Rolling Magma also benefits from Flame Wall as well. And we are going to swap to the Cold Dot setup. I say Act 2 Ryan, but it's actually once you reach Mervale Caravan, you can actually TP back to town, and you're going to buy some gems, and you can swap over to the Cold Dot setup, which I show up in here. You need to do a respect with like in here. You can see that we go for Firewalker because we're playing Rolling Magma early, but you can respect 1 point to Frostwalker after that. And then we are going to use Wintertide Brand Creeping Frost as our first 2 dot skill. And in here, you just kind of remove everything else, because now we are only using these 2 buttons. And then somewhere around level 16, right, you finish the quest Intruder in Black by killing Fidelitas. We are going to get Cold Snap, which is going to be our 2nd skill from now on until the end game. So this is your 2 skill setup finish. And later on, you're gonna get Skitterbot, which gonna give you free shield and shop, which is really nice. And we are going to use that all the way to Act 3, where you get your Malevolence, which you're not gonna have enough mana, so we're going to turn off Skitterbot for now and use it later. You are also getting your first Curse skill as well, which you're gonna use on boss to help with the damage. If you have a 4 link by the time that you reach the library with a green socket, you can also use Hypothermia. Actually, in 3.29, the socket color doesn't matter, so you just need to have a 4 link. And so, yeah, just highly recommend you to just do the library and then get Hypothermia support, as it is more damage than the Arcane Surge support. And yeah. And then after that, the next breakpoint is around level 34, where you get your first Chaos Golem. And you don't need to do the lab now. You can wait a little bit until like level 38 to do Leash at the Primordial. And then as soon as you get this and the Golem Commander, which is this note right here, you get Fall Golem. And at that point, campaign is just gonna be so easy, because Golem give you everything that you want for campaign. You have damage, you have recovery, you have defense. The raw base stat from Golem is actually insane. But yeah, we are getting Bone Shield support. After that, your damage is gonna go up like another notch. And later on in Act 6, we want to get Sovereignty. And with the mana reservation efficiency that it gives, you can run Flesh and Stone. Make sure you are in Sandstand. This will help you a lot with the defense during the early mapping, as well as the late campaign that you'll be running. After that, we want to swap Purity of Elements with Skitterbot, because at this point, you should be on your 2nd lap. With Shaper of Storm, you get free shock and stuff like that, so you don't need Skitterbot anymore. And Purity of Elements actually helps too, because we are taking the Cold Mastery for Cold Damage Showtime Multiplier for overcap cold resistance. But yeah, I expect your campaign to be very easy, even if you don't really know what you're doing. As long as you picked up the right skills, you will be able to just kind of breeze through the campaign, because the Elementalist and Golem is just that good for campaign. Alright, let's talk about a few setups that help you transition from campaign. First of all, you should be looking at this similar tree to this when you're done with the campaign. And then you're going to look to push into a yellow map setup, which you're gonna go for Ghost Dance. Early game ES Evasion is a very cheap way for handling defense in softcore. And for items, your main priority is get your hands on the very cheap unique helmets, Ram Gaze, which give you 50% cold damage over time multiplier, and is great for Cold Snap setup, because you can put it in here and Cold Snap get concentrated effect, which help with single target damage. And then we are going to get Replica Allopathy. A lot of people are going to run Blueprint Heist early on, and this is a very common and cheap unique. So you should be expecting to get this relatively cheap, maybe like 10-12 hours into the league without much issues. And focus on getting a 5 link body armor to improve your damage. And all the skills and trees are here. We are going to do a little bit of small respec at level 75, so make sure you checked out the tree over here. But then we are going to push into the red map budget setup, which is also relatively cheap, I would say. Maybe on Lickstad it's around 100 chaos, maybe to 1 divine, 2 divine. But yeah, depending on the markets, I can't really say for sure, but most of these items are really, really cheap. Now, we want to get capping suppression chance pushing into T16 to help you survive. So all your resistance, spell suppression chance need to be capped. You're adding Doldred Damning into the build to apply an additional curse, which help with the damage. But the main focus here is to get a very defensive character, enough to survive the early red maps and help you farm up currency, in which after that you can choose to swap into another build on the Elementalist, or if you choose to do so, low life swap is one of the very good way to push into endgame, which essentially triple your damage, triple your tankiness with block, and it's very comfy to play. This setup is obviously more expensive. I expect 10 to 30 divine because we are using the Dark Monarch, which is a very contested item, I guess, because every one on the Elementalist really want this to scale with the golem damage. But yeah, we are running a low life setup with coruscating elixir, and that's pretty much the end game setup. Like, this is something that you want to push for day 2, day 3, and if you are in the setup, you can have no problem farming the end game content. And yeah, if you're in red map setup, you can easily do full voice zone. And if you want to push the build further, maybe look into going for a Mageblood setup, which have plenty of damage, plenty of tankiness to do everything in the game. But yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. I think that's plenty enough for the league starter. Obviously, there will be new tech, new gems, and also, like I said, pack of war as well added into the build. So I'll come back and update this later, but this hopefully will give you some guidance on league start. So hopefully you have a good league start, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.